Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap & Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. The visionaries behind Thread wallets. These wallets redefine style and functionality. Dave Philippi from Micro Plus, pushing the boundaries of nanotechnology and scientific research to bring us cutting-edge supplements for optimal health. The Ralphs and the Debenhams, creators of Morley Nutrition and Calm. Because if you're struggling with sleep, feeling stressed, or can't focus, Calm is your answer. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode. And finally, Gab Wireless, letting kids be kids and giving parents the peace of mind they deserve. Right now, Gab is offering $25 off any device to new customers with no contract required. That's $25 off any Gab smartphone or smartwatch. Just go to gab.com/belief. That's where you'll get the best deal. That's gabb.com/belief. Thank you to all these amazing sponsors for supporting the Beliefcast podcast and empowering us to continue spreading positivity and inspiration to the world. Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Inspires Beliefcast. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm so grateful for your support. I'd like to again thank my sponsors that you just listened to. They're amazing. They believe in me, and they really have helped us move this, I don't know if you want to call it a cause or just this podcast message out to the world, and it's been wonderful. So thank you so much. And just thank you guys for sharing these episodes with your family and loved ones. It's so inspiring. I'm the lucky one because I get to sit with these amazing guests face to face and hear their story firsthand. But I know how much you guys love this, and thanks for all your feedback. Today, I'm honored to sit down with Curtis Morley. Curtis, thanks for being here.
I'm honored to be here. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally connected. We have a lot of mutual friends now that we've just found out. And I just, again, love the way you carry yourself and the way you live your life. And our listeners are in for a treat today.
Thanks.
A little bit about Curtis. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author, 5-time entrepreneur, educator, coach, and thought leader. Curtis has been recognized with countless awards, but even more impressive is his passion for helping others live their most authentic lives. There's a lot there. There's a lot we're going to talk about. You're doing so much good in the world. But before we get to all that stuff, let's talk a little bit about where did you grow up and tell us about your family.
I grew up in the smallest of towns in the southern middle part of Utah.
Okay.
A little teeny place called Farron. And
yeah, I don't think I've even heard of that before.
That's okay. I think 6 people have. So I think it's teeny, just a teeny little town. And I loved growing up there. I absolutely loved it. It was every day in the summer felt like a Tom Sawyer adventure. We'd wake up and we'd make our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and stick it in our backpacks and get our swimming suits on, and we'd walk. This is when I was like 8 years old. We'd just be like, Mom, Dad, we're going up to the reservoir. And we'd walk 3 miles up to the reservoir and then just swim for most of the day, eat our peanut butter and jelly, and then come back home.
You saying that, like peanut butter and jelly, like those as a kid was like the greatest. I thought that was the greatest lunch of all time.
It was.
Right?
It was, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The teeny little town.
Okay.
Then when I was a sophomore in high school, we actually moved to Orem. and Orem High had a larger population than Farron. So just the high school.
Right. Wow.
and it was quite the adjustment to the big city. That's what it felt like, was such a big city. But I loved my childhood in Farron. It was, summer days were swimming and biking, and then summer nights were toilet papering people's houses.
Toilet paper. Yeah, that was the thing growing up. We used to toilet paper people. Yeah.
And it was great. It was so fun.
Yeah, you don't see that so much now, I think. Maybe because everyone has like a camera now on their door.
Yeah, the Ring doorbell.
Yeah, we're going to get busted if we do this.
You can't get away with it anymore.
So what was it like just as a kid? Like what were you into? What did you love doing? Did you play sports? Were you involved with music? I know you're a singer.
Yeah. Yeah. We all the above, because Farron was so small. It was everybody participated in all this stuff, and so sports, and loved to sing, loved to perform music, and did some plays, and part of the debate team. My favorite sports were track and volleyball and skiing, and so I love track. The short distances, not the long distances. And
didn't you maybe not just, but didn't you do a triathlon?
I did. I've done Ironman, half Ironman in Hawaii. Yeah. I've done.
So now you're doing
qualified
longer races.
for Boston. Yeah. Now I've learned how amazing endurance running is. And I know you're into Spartan races and.
Yeah, I just did my first marathon.
Oh, congrats!
Yeah,
St. George.
St. George. Yeah, it was my first one ever, and I'm hooked. I'm like, man, that was amazing. So I get what you're saying. Yeah,
it is, and that has a fun story of how I transitioned, because I used to hate long distance running, just hate it passionately, and now I'm hooked.
Yeah. So you were into to the theater and music, and you also were on the debate team. Is that what you said?
Yeah, debate, and then all the teams in junior high, like every team, basketball, football, just because the pool was so limited. It was such a small
were there any challenges as a kid that you had to go through that kind of helped shape you today that you can think of? Or, I mean, just curious if you'd gone through anything.
Yeah, the move was really tough. Moving from Farron and leaving my lifelong friends,
I bet,
up to Orem High, and then a couple of years later, my senior year, my parents got divorced.
Oh, wow.
And that was really difficult. That was,
I can imagine,
a lot of questioning, like a lot of what's happening right now. This seems to go contrary to everything I've been taught from my parents and church and community, and it was a huge transition. So my senior year at Orem High was a whole senior year of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I was a little bit checked out, and it was tough, because
how did you deal with that? Is this something you just internally just went through, or did you have help? How did you go through that?
My parents got a couple sessions with the therapist. She was a brand new therapist, and actually it was kind of tough, because my second and last session, she's like, well, I know I'm supposed to be talking to you, but I've got this problem. Do you think you could help me? And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Like, am I being punked here?
Right. Am I the therapist? What's happening?
Wow.
And so a lot of it was just internal processing.
Sure.
And to be quite frank, like, a lot of it didn't get processed well.
Right.
And it was tough. Yeah.
I would imagine it affected you not only just the way you carried yourself at that time, like emotionally, but did it affect the way you did in school? Did you start to struggle in that area, like not doing as well?
Yeah, I did. It was, I loved, and I excelled in a lot of subjects except for my senior year. Like it was really tough. My AP physics teacher, he was awesome, because he said, if anybody does the state bridge building contest and ranks in the top 3, I'll give you an A for the whole semester.
Oh, really?
And then the same thing with the mousetrap car competition, where you build a mousetrap car, and the spring is the only acceleration you get.
Yeah.
And luckily I placed top 3 in both of those. I actually won the mousetrap car.
You did.
So I got A's for each semester and didn't even go to class. So during AP Physics, it was my job to go get donuts for people. And
you're like, I can do this. I can get donuts.
He's like, come if you want, but you've already got an A. And so that was nice. But my other subjects, they were tough. It was a struggle to deal with the internal conflict that was going on at home and still stay focused. And I remember being in one of my classes, I think it was a social studies class, and the conflict was just swirling inside of me so strongly that I couldn't even think. I couldn't even concentrate. And my teacher pulled me aside and she's like, what's going on? And I kind of described what was happening, and she was really gracious to be, understanding and help me out in that way.
No, that's great. It's good to have teachers like that are willing to step out and see someone who's struggling, obviously, and here, let me help you, through that. And my, going back to the question of what shaped me, my faith was a big part of staying centered and not totally derailing. Right.
And that was a big part of my life growing up.
So yeah, definitely you're a man of faith. And why is your faith so important to you?
It's, this is the first time I've ever been asked on all the podcasts I've done.
Really? And you've been on a mini. That makes me feel good because I think it's an important question.
Yeah.
And I have listeners who believe in God. I have listeners who don't. But I think it's important because this is your story. And I love to hear people's this is what I was leaning on in times of trouble. And I don't know, I always respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was so important for me. Einstein, I love the quote he says, the big difference in life is whether you believe that we live in a hostile universe or a friendly universe. And they've actually, excuse me, Gallup did a poll and around this question and asked people, do you believe the world's out to get you? Do you believe this is a hostile world, or do you believe that this is a friendly world and it's here to support you? And 85% of people said that they believed it was a hostile world.
Wow.
And having that belief in God and Christ, and having the understanding that there's someone that loves me ultimately, that there's somebody that it doesn't matter if what I'm doing, they love me with a love that doesn't end. And that the world is a friendly place, and not just friendly, but it's here to support me. It's here to support you. It's here to support all of the listeners on today's show. The universe is out to help us. The universe is on our side.
No, I love that perspective. Thanks for sharing that. That is really powerful. I know in my own life, because of my own struggles, through drug addictions and things like that, the world did feel like a hostile place to me, but it was because I was creating that.
Mm-hmm.
I was kicking against it, and I realize I love this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I often will tell my clients, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, right? And that's kind of what you're saying is life is here to support you, and even the tough times are actually something good's going to come from it, right? What do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today, if you look at my past, you read some of my bio.
Yes.
I've been an entrepreneur almost my entire professional life. And I started multiple businesses. They all look successful. Some actually were. Not all. Definitely not. But with that,
that's good.
I had written a book, this is about 6 years ago, and it's called The Entrepreneur's Paradox. It hit the Wall Street Journal bestseller, all of that stuff.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah, congrats on that, honestly. I'm really impressed with all that. That's so good.
Thanks. Yeah. And my plan, my path, the path I had decided I was going to go down, was that I was going to help entrepreneurs go from basement to buyout and turn into rapid growth companies and all of that. And when my book hit the Wall Street Journal bestseller, I talked with my publisher and they said, let's do a 3-book series. And so my first one was called Entrepreneur's Paradox. The next one is called The Timeline of Business. And I learned that with startups, not only are people making the same mistakes, but they're making the same mistakes in the same order. There's an actual timeline of if you tell me where you're at, I can predict what's coming next, because there's this very specific order that lays itself out for entrepreneurs. And that was my path. That was where I was going. And I was ready to march down this road and write this second book. And at that same time, I went through a divorce. And it was incredibly hard. The hardest thing I've ever done. Like a new level of pain that I didn't know could exist.
Could even exist, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had friends who have been through divorce, and they'll tell me, and clients, they'll say, it feels like a death.
Yeah.
It feels like I have to grieve this death of this marriage,
Yeah.
Is that what
that's a great way to describe it. Is it does feel like a death, but not one that it actually happened in the past.
Yeah.
It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
And it was devastating. It was devastating to the point where I just wanted a mountain to fall on top of me and just smash me to get rid of the pain. And when I got to that point, I had to reframe pain. I had to reframe the concept of pain because, there's a couple events that happened right around the same time. And one of them is that my friend Jerry Williamson was going through a divorce about a year after I had. And he came to me and he's like, it was clear he was struggling because that's natural in divorce.
Yeah, right.
It just hurts.
Yeah.
It just hurts.
Yeah.
And he had shared with me some of his struggles that he had gone through. And as I was going through my own trials, which now I call blessings,
Yeah.
as they were some really painful blessings, but they were blessings because they put me in a place that I needed to be in. They gave me a chance to say, who is Curtis?
Yeah.
Who really is Curtis? Not the ego, not the mask that Curtis puts on when he goes to work and pretends to be this really cool guy, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Not that guy. Who is Curtis here inside? Who is Curtis? And it gave me a chance to say, who am I really? And because of that pain, I'll never forget the day I was just in a ball weeping on my kitchen floor and missing my kids so much and that relationship that we had. And specifically this one day with my son, Isaac, and the pain was so intense. And as I was laying there on the kitchen floor where that pain was just overwhelming, I felt the love of Christ wrap me up in his arms. Yeah. And when that happened, I said, my brain was saying, how is this possible? How is this possible that I can feel so much pain and so much love and joy at the same time? Yeah. And it didn't make sense. It broke my brain. And I thought, what is this feeling? Like I always thought that life, if you have pain, it's exclusive from joy. If you have pain, it's exclusive from misery. If you have pain, you are on one side of this wall and you do not go to the other. And that's what got me to reframe the idea of pain. It wasn't pain on this side. On this side of the wall was the counterfeit of pain, which was misery.
Yeah.
And the truth is that I get to choose which side of the wall I put pain on. I can bury it deep under misery, which is based in two emotions, blame and shame.
Yeah.
Or I can put it on the side of joy and love, and I can elevate and even honor the pain. And with that, I get to choose. I get to choose which side it is. And my whole life, I thought that this side was pain and this side was joy, but it's not. This side is misery, and this side is joy and love.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm going to get all emotional here.
You're good.
At that same time, my friend Jerry was going through his own trials, and he didn't understand the difference between pain and misery, and he didn't understand the difference between guilt and shame.
Oh, wow.
And Jerry ended up losing his life to suicide.
Oh, wow.
And Todd, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
I am not okay with how Jerry left this world. And that day I called my publisher. Well, it was actually a couple of days later. That week I called my publisher and I said, hey, I need to write a very different book. And I don't even know if I'm going to come back to the business books, but I need to write this very different book because this message needs to get out in the world, and it's not right now. There is nothing. When I realized the idea of Counterfeit Emotions, I said, I need to share this with the world. But first I thought, well, I need to learn this. Yeah. And so I looked for books and I looked for seminars and I looked for, anything I could attend or read, and there was nothing. There was the closest thing I found was a Buddhist principle called near enemies and far enemies. And it's not a one-for-one comparison by any means,
right?
But it was kind of similar. And I thought, well, that's why my parents didn't teach this to me, or scouts or church or school, is because it's not out there. Yeah. This is just not known. And so I started digging deep to understand, does every authentic emotion have a counterfeit? And what I found is that yes, every single authentic emotion has a counterfeit, except for one. There's only one emotion that can't be counterfeited. And that emotion is peace.
Yeah, I was going to guess peace, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That is very good of you to share this, and obviously vulnerable for you to share those experiences. And, I'm with you about your friend, and that's, I work in a business where a lot of clients are very vulnerable to suicide, and I've lost a lot of clients over the years, and, people here in treatment where we lose them. And I often will tell people who are left behind, like we need you. Like,
yes.
You heard the phrase, tomorrow needs you.
Yes.
Like, tomorrow needs you. And it's hard to see that when, if you're in your own struggle, because part of my story is I was going to end my life. I was done. And I was on my way to do it. And I had a miracle happen that changed the course of my life. And I look back and go, why me? Kind of thing. And so that story really hit me hard when you said that about your friend. And obviously I can tell it still bothers you, which makes total sense. But what I'm also hearing too, Curtis, is that, boy, the lessons you've learned is what's made you so good at what you do today. And you're really I love that you talk about this authentic self. You found out who you really are, right? Is what you were saying.
Yeah.
Will you explain to our listeners, what does that mean, like authentic self? And can you maybe explain how would you describe that for you? Because I think there might be some listeners going, what does that even mean, authentic self, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And in today's world, like Merriam-Webster, this year, the word of the year is authenticity. It was searched more than any other word in the English language last year.
People want to know.
Yeah, because in our day and age, we're starving for authenticity.
Yeah.
We've got all of this perfect life that we see on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and we see all this fun that is not connecting. And the as I've researched all of these different emotions, living our authentic lives means living in the authentic emotions. And there's 4 criteria to know if I'm living authentically or if I'm living in the counterfeits. And and you look at, we've talked about a couple, pain and misery. Pain is inevitable. Misery is optional.
Yeah.
And pain takes us somewhere. And so the four criteria are connection, direction, motivation, and valuation. I ended them all in shun, so it'd be easier to remember.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Somebody actually said the other day, like, hey, look, it's an acronym, see the DMV. I'm like, I'm not sure that's the one I was going for. But
Yeah, right.
But okay.
We'll take it.
We'll go with it.
Whatever helps you remember it.
Yeah. But the first one is does this emotion connect me to four things? To myself, my authentic self, the self inside, not the ego, not my body, not my accomplishments, my past, my wealth or lack of, like none of those things, not my strengths and weaknesses, but the true me deep inside. Does it connect me with me? Yeah. Then does it connect me with others? Does this emotion actually take me to you and connect me with you? Then connecting me with God or my higher power.
Yeah.
And then the final connection is, does this emotion connect me with truth? And
I like that.
And every authentic emotion connects with truth. Like you look at guilt and shame. That one is so misunderstood. Guilt is getting a really bad rap in today's world. And the truth is, guilt is a beautiful, healthy emotion. We couldn't have civilized society without guilt.
Right.
We would have anarchy.
Yeah.
And there's only 4 personality types that can't feel guilt. Psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, and antisocial behavior disorder. Mm-hmm. If we didn't have guilt, we would just be a bunch of psychopaths and sociopaths running around. And guilt is actually based in empathy. That's where guilt comes from, because guilt says, I know how it feels to be hurt, and I was the one that hurt you. And the feeling of guilt, if you look back at the etymology of the word, in the 1300s, guilt comes from the word gilden, which means to repay or to make whole. So the feeling of guilt is the feeling of, I want to make you whole. And the connection has to happen in order to make you whole. I have to, number one, connect with myself and say, you know what? I'm not the kind of person that goes around kicking people in the shins. And I kicked Todd in the shins. And I know it's a silly example, but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And that hurts. And I know how that feels. And so I say, okay, I'm connecting with myself. I'm not that kind of person. And then I connect with you. And I say, Todd, I'm so sorry. What can I do to make you whole? And then I connect with God and I say, God, please forgive me. I hurt Todd. Yeah. And I don't want to hurt Todd. And then it connects me with the truth that says, I did this. I have to own this. This is mine. And shame, the counterfeit of guilt, does the exact opposite. Shame is the great disconnector. Yeah. It completely disconnects me from myself, disconnects me from you, because I'm like, well, Todd, he said that thing, so he deserves to be kicked in the shins. And, and then it disconnects me from God, because I'm not humble. I'm full of pride. I'm full of anger. I'm full of all of these feelings. And it definitely doesn't connect me to the truth. It's like, well, it's Todd's fault. Yeah. It's not Todd's fault. Yeah. It's my action. And I'm responsible for that. So that first criteria is connection. Does this connect me to you? The second is direction. Where does this emotion take me? And this was fascinating. When I did the research on this, I did not expect what I found. The first part was, it was exactly what I thought. All authentic emotions, they move us forward, they take us upward, or they bring us together. So there's 3 directions that authentic emotions take us. The counterfeits, though, this was the fascinating part. I was like, well, it would just be the opposite, right? And it wasn't. Every counterfeit emotion has one direction, and that's back to that emotion. Shame has to be fueled by shame. Yeah. Misery has to add misery, or else it dies. I mean, you think about the common saying with pain, no pain, no gain. Because pain takes you somewhere. Yeah. Pain demands attention. Pain says, you need to act right now. Right. So act, move, go somewhere. But misery, it also has a saying. Misery loves
Company.
Yeah. Why? Because misery has to spin back to itself. Misery has to fuel itself with more misery, or else it dies. It naturally dies.
Yeah.
If we don't add misery to misery, it dies.
Yeah.
And so that direction is just back to itself. Anxiety fuels anxiety. Shame builds on shame. Misery comes back to misery. And so the second criteria is that direction. Where does this emotion take me? Is it taking me forward? Is it taking me upward? Or is it bringing me together with others? Or am I just spinning? Am I just going down?
Wow.
And
that's so powerful. So powerful. I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of blown away, because with my, I deal with this with my clients. They feel so much shame, which I often equate that to, I'm just a bad person.
yes.
Guilt is I did something bad, but it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Guilt is the reminder, don't do this again.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, don't kick me in the shin again, please.
And it's guilt is meant to hurt.
Yeah.
Because then the next time I go to kick you in the shins, I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That didn't just hurt Todd. That hurt me.
Yeah, I don't want to feel that again.
Yes, I don't want to feel that same pain again. And it's meant to hurt. Where shame, just like you said, guilt says I did something wrong. Shame says I am wrong.
Yeah.
Guilt says I made a mistake. Shame says my whole existence is a mistake.
Yeah. Wow.
And it attributes it to the character versus the behavior.
Yeah.
Behaviors are easy to change. Character, that seems a little more solid.
Yeah. And I noticed, you talk about how authentic self is the highest frequency emotion, right?
Yeah.
And I would imagine shame is probably the lowest frequency emotion in the sense, right? If you scale it out that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's still really powerful.
Yeah.
Even though it's a low level frequency, man, it's painful.
Yeah.
Obviously in a really negative way.
Yeah. And if you look at the frequency scale, it was fascinating because I thought love would be the very top.
Me too.
I thought love would be the highest
Yeah.
frequency. It turns out authenticity
Yeah.
is the highest frequency. And the lowest is, there's two, shame and apathy. Shame and apathy are at the very bottom of the scale. They're the last feelings anyone will feel before taking their life.
Wow. Apathy. I work with, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I'm sorry, I'm a little tangent here, but I love that you said that. So I work with a lot of people who smoke pot.
Okay.
And I smoked pot for 10 years. I've been clean for 35 years for all of that stuff. But, so I know a lot about pot and marijuana and all that stuff. And I've studied it for 30 plus years. Right. And so I have there's a lot of the mentality nowadays. These kids are like, I smoke pot for these reasons, helps me do this, and this. And they can give me all these reasons of why it's good. And then I can give them all the reasons why it's bad. And then we just kind of sit and butt heads. But there's one argument that a pot smoker can't argue with. And I'll say pot robs you of your passion. Mm-hmm. Apathy becomes your passion when you do that. And without fail, if they're honest with themselves in that moment, they'll go, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally takes that all away.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I think you're spot on.
Right?
I think you're spot on because, pot is a direct path to apathy.
Yeah. And we just kind of like, at that point, we just like, I'll do that maybe down the road. I don't want to do anything today.
Yeah.
It just, right? No energy, no insight, no revelation, no inspiration.
Yeah, and it just kills passion.
Yeah.
It stabs passion in the back and says, nope, not today. Today you're just going to do nothing. And you're going to be depressed and you're going to be just floating.
Yeah. Wow. I know you talk a lot about counterfeit emotions and also counterfeit stories that we tell ourselves and how to convince ourselves of things. And you brought something off the air about how sobriety is the counterfeit to addiction? To recovery.
Yeah.
So talk about what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So it's interesting whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's pornography, whatever the addiction is, that most people, you can actually see addiction in the brain. Mm-hmm. If you do an fMRI, a functional MRI study, you can actually see the parts of the brain that light up in addiction. Most people that think they're addicted are not. At least not to what they think they're addicted to.
Yeah.
most people, like, let's take pornography, for example. Most people that are quote unquote addicted to pornography, they're addicted to shame. And shame is what keeps them in their addiction. Shame is what says, I have a need to go and view pornography, or a need to go smoke pot. Shame is that. And it's fascinating because up until about 5-10 years ago, all of the studies, they put shame and guilt together. They coupled them together and said guilt and shame are the same thing.
Yeah.
But recently, Brene Brown, as well as a University of Sweden, they did very similar studies. And they said, what is the result of shame? And they found that shame has a direct correlation into bullying, drug use, sexual promiscuity, and suicidal ideation. Yeah. I mean, you go through the 7 deadly sins, shame is the direct path in. And the difference that they did is they flipped it and they said, well, what about guilt? What about guilt? What does guilt do to drug use, etc.? And this was fascinating. They found that guilt had a direct correlation out of those behaviors. That guilt was the way out. Shame was the way in. Yeah. Guilt is the way out. Yeah. And it was fascinating to see that people are understanding there's a big difference between guilt and shame. And going back to the addiction and all of that, is that I've worked with men's groups. I've worked with all these things. And this one concept of you're not addicted to drugs, you're not addicted to pornography, you're not addicted to this, you're addicted to shame, has changed people in ways that has been so beautiful, because then they realize I've been fighting the wrong thing. Yeah. And this concept of sobriety, of it's all about the time. That's I've got my steering wheel. I'm white knuckling. I can do this, and then now I'm falling asleep and I steer off the road. Mm-hmm. and that's what most people think. Yeah. Oh, if I'm quote unquote addicted, I just need to hold on. And sobriety is one step away from a relapse at all times. Yeah. And not only is it one step away from a relapse, it's one step away from shame. Yeah. Like, okay, my worth is based on how many coins I got at my SA meeting or my AA meeting. And if I don't make it the next day, then my worth, where did it go? Yeah. It's gone.
Exactly.
And recovery is so beautiful, because recovery is the opposite. Recovery actually says, maybe I relapse. And you know what? I can actually be grateful for the relapse. Yeah. Instead of making this a devastating event and saying, my life is over, I can't do it anymore, like all of those things, that recovery says, this is God putting a pin in my personal map to say, you need to work on this today. Yeah. The recovery mindset says, I'm going to look at that pin and I'm going to say, thanks, God. Thanks for giving me this very specific message of today I need to work on this. Yeah. And instead of that spin of, okay, I was sober, now I'm not, well, I might as well just keep going and all this. It's a completely different shift in the mindset to say, you know what? I now have the exact instruction of what God needs me to work on today. Yeah. And we can get on our knees and actually say, thank you. Yeah. Thank you that I relapsed, because now I know that trigger for me. Yeah. I know that trigger and I can work on that trigger. And it doesn't mean that I'm derailed, I'm driving off the road. It means that you've given me a gift to say, I can now go work on this. And when I work on that and I get that out of my soul, there's no need to go back to it. Yeah. There's no need for the destructive behavior of drugs or pornography or alcohol or whatever, because the trigger's gone. Because I worked on the trigger, and that's recovery. Whereas sobriety says, how many filters can I get and how many people can I call and all of this? But that trigger, it's still living inside of me. Yeah. And it's not until I say, okay, I'm going to work on that trigger. This pin in my personal map from God gave me the exact location. I'm going to go work on that trigger, get out of my soul. The next time this happens, guess what?
Yeah.
There's no relapse.
Yeah.
Because I drove to that point on my map and I realized, oh, this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
This is why it hurts. This is what I need to dig into.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. You know what's fascinating, Curtis? I've been doing this for 35 years. Almost 10 out of 10 clients, when I ask them, what's the definition of sober? They can't define it. They have no idea. They'll go, I don't know. And I go, but this is all you hear. I'm sober, sobriety. We say this word, everyone's saying it, and no one knows what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll point out it's the periods in between using. And they're like, what? Yeah, it's the periods. If I say I'm sober, I'm saying I'm in the period before I relapse.
Yeah. Like
you were saying there a minute ago. And I do this all the time.
Todd, that is such a powerful definition.
Yeah. And then I'll say, words matter, right? And our good friend Becky Kemp, right? We love her the word effect. Words have power. Words have meaning. Words have a frequency. So I got to understand what I'm saying. So that's why you'll always hear me, and I'll tell my clients this, you'll never hear me say I'm sober. I'm clean. There was a time I was sober, meaning I wasn't sure if I was done.
Yeah.
I might go back.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I was, like you were saying, that white knuckle hold on. I was flapping in the wind, holding on for dear life. I was sober, but I'm clean. It's game over. It's done. I still have my struggles. I still wrestle with things, but but I don't do that anymore. I've overcome that. Yeah. And I love that because it just touched me with what you said. Is like, I actually, you said recovery. I actually believe we can be recovered where it's done. I'm done putting poison in my body. Yeah. And when I struggle now, like you even mentioned, I'm going to turn to God, or I'm going to turn to my higher power, whatever that may be for someone, or I'm going to reach out to a friend, or I'm going to sit in it. I'll often say, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, I'll look at my clients and say, when you were this tall, and for those listening, I've got my hand about 2 feet off the ground. When we were that tall, right, we were a little kid, when we had a bad day, how did we handle it? So I'm going to ask you, Curtis, how did you handle your bad day when you were this tall? What'd you do?
Usually went to my mom, or
you might have went to mom,
some comfort, or
you might have cried.
Yeah,
might have went in your room. You might have thrown something across the room. But what eventually always happened? What happened?
You got over it.
It got better.
Yeah.
See, we had it figured out when we were kids. See, and then I looking at my clients and myself. We get older, and I discovered drugs and alcohol. It's like, oh, I can avoid this feeling. I'm not going to sit in it. I'm going to go and get high. So I'm avoiding sitting in it. But I had it figured out when I was a kid. Because then I think, oh, it's too hard to handle. No, it isn't. It sucks going through it sometimes. But we're strong enough to sit in our emotions for a minute.
Yeah.
Because guess what happens? It always gets better eventually.
Eventually.
Right? What do you think of that?
Yeah. I love that. Because, we think that, well, I love what Winston Churchill said. He said that failure is not fatal and success is not final. And it's the journey.
Yeah.
Like, we're always on the journey.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of continuing on that journey. I was just reminded of an experience I had. We both love to run, and I was running one day, and I happened to merge onto this trail at the same time this other guy merged on this trail, and then we're about the same pace, and so I'm like, hey, how's it going? And we start talking, and he shares with me about how he's been 5 years sober, and I'm thinking, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
How do you feel? And his response totally startled me. I was like, that is so good, thinking this is a wonderful thing. And that you're able to do 5 years. And he goes, I hate it. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is a huge accomplishment. And he said, I hate it. I'm like, well, why? Why do you hate it? He said, because I could drown my demons in alcohol. And now that I can't drown them anymore, they keep haunting me. And And it was such a experience where I was just like, wow, he's right. That now it's time. Now is the time that the demons, we get to have a conversation. We get to sit down with those demons.
With them. Yeah.
And
we don't run from them. We look them right in the eye, right?
Yeah. And we don't drown them and, keep them underwater anymore or under alcohol anymore.
Right.
It's time to have a sit down conversation.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. But I want to, because to me, it's a myth that someone who's been an addict is going to struggle the rest of their life. And that's not true.
It's not.
It's not true.
It's not.
People ask me all the time. So I've been clean for 35 years now.
That's so great.
And I thank God. I thank my family and friends and everyone who's been there. I often, you'll hear me say, I'm standing on shoulders of giants. That's how I got to where I'm at. But people ask me all the time, man, is it still a problem? Do you still wrestle? I'm like, no, it's not even on my radar. I don't do that anymore. Just like I don't rob banks, I don't put poison in my body. It's a simple no, right? Yeah. And people, it's almost like, no, I've heard it's going to be a battle the rest of our lives. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And it goes back to, and I know you and I agree on this, and, it's the story we end up telling ourselves, right? Yeah. Sometimes the demons are just there because we keep telling ourselves a story that they're there.
Yep.
When in reality, they're not even there.
Yep.
Right? Anyway, I just want to, I'm really passionate about that kind of stuff because that's what I teach my clients. Yeah. You don't have to fight this. You can be recovered, go live your life and do the things you were born to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to put poison in your body.
Yeah.
It was to go make a difference. And kind of like what you do now, Curtis, you're making a difference. And I obviously when we got introduced to each other, I've been researching you and, I've been, being that creeper, checking him out of every movie he's doing, stalker. But I really love the way you carry yourself. I love what you're doing. For those who don't know, Curtis, tell our listeners, what does your business look like? What do you do? And what do you do to help benefit people?
Yeah. So I call myself an emotionologist. And
wow, I like that. I've never heard that before.
It's a new term. I guess I'm the world's leading emotionologist.
You must be number one.
Since there are no others. But I call myself an emotionologist, and I'm the founder of a company called Counterfeit Emotions, and I'm currently writing the book, and I speak quite a bit on the topic of counterfeit emotions. And and what I do is I really do help people live their most authentic life at the highest frequency so that they can find that one emotion that can't be counterfeited, and that's peace.
Yeah, man, I love that.
And it's like I was saying earlier, like for me, I was baffled. I'm like, how have I never learned this my whole life? I had wonderful parents. How did my parents not teach me this? How did I not learn this at church? I went to church every week. How did I not learn this? School, for sure, school would do it. No, scouts, community, nothing. And I thought, well, then why have I been given this message? And I realized it was because I do need to share it with the world, and it's so impactful. Just one example is we do master classes and 21-day challenges and things like that. Yeah. And one of the dyads that it's kind of fun. It kind of breaks people's brains. Is that nice is the counterfeit of kind.
Totally.
And our whole lives were taught to be nice.
Yep.
Our whole lives were be nice, be nice, be nice, And I learned, actually, I had a kind friend call me up and he's like, hey, Curtis, do people tell you you're a nice guy? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a nice guy. Like thinking he's going to load me with accolades and, oh yeah, you're the nicest ever. And that's what people would say. Yeah. People would, if you knew me 10 years ago, that you would be like, oh, Curtis is the nicest person you will ever meet. And he goes, can I tell you something? I'm like, sure. And he goes, the nice guy is the most despicable person on the planet. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. You just totally set me up. That was such a setup. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, the nice guy is not honest. And I'm like, well, that's one of my core values, honesty. And he's like, no, the nice guy's not honest. Yeah. The nice guy doesn't speak truth. The nice guy placates. The nice guy is a doormat, the people pleaser. The nice guy avoids conflict at any cost. And he goes, and the nice guy is manipulative. And I'm like, okay, now I know you're just blowing smoke. He's like, no, think about it. The nice guy is manipulative. The nice guy tries to control other people's behaviors by being nice.
Yeah.
The smile expects a smile. I'm going to do the dishes. Well, then what are you doing? I'm going to be so nice. You think like the used car salesman. They're your best friend for 10 minutes until you tell them you don't want that car.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they turn. And nice says, I'm never going to rock the boat. I'm going to keep everything in stasis. I'm never going to rock the boat. I'm going to avoid conflict at all costs. It's really a defense mechanism. But the trouble with never rocking the boat is that you're never rowing the boat. You're never progressing the relationship.
You're staying still,
And you're not growing.
Staying put,
You're not moving with someone. It's all about, I'm going to keep things calm. I'm not going to avoid conflict. Or I am going to avoid conflict. And the greatest thing about kind, so we've done that masterclass several times, the nice versus kind. And the great thing about kind is kind doesn't avoid conflict like nice does.
Yeah.
It doesn't even, the focus isn't even to resolve conflict. Kind is about transforming conflict into connection.
Yeah.
And when that's the mindset going in, it's not about, okay, I'm going to avoid and just yes, whatever you want. Yep. It's not that. It's not, okay, let's hash this out. Let's get in the boxing ring and then one of us is going to be victor at the end of it. It's not that. It's, let's transform this conflict into connection. The fact that you have a different opinion than I do is actually beautiful.
Yeah.
And we both can learn so much from each other.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we can be connected.
Yeah, I love that.
Instead of being separated or being one dominated and the other subservient, we can say, you know what, let's use this for connection.
Yeah.
And that's what kind does. Kind is willing to be direct. Kind is willing to have hard conversations because you love someone enough that you're willing to say, I see a destructive pattern in your life.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if I shared this with you? And kind is always inviting. Kind never says, hey, you need to stop this right now. It's hey, could I share something that I've observed?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
And letting the person say yes, and then sharing, and then inviting them, again, with an invitation to make a change. Yeah. And it's all about that pattern of love. And these conversations may hurt.
Yeah.
But the beauty about being kind is that when the conversation is over, is that I'm going to be there with you through the hurt.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit with you when it hurts.
That's beautifully said. I will often tell my clients too, like, do you want me to be honest or nice?
That's a perfect example.
And they always say, be honest. And I'm like, because honest doesn't always feel nice.
It doesn't.
But I love what you said about the difference between nice and kind. I never thought of it that way. And that you really opened my mind there. So I'm learning. I've learned a lot from you today. This is good stuff. Again, I love all that you're doing and, the things that you do for people. And I look at your life as you've kind of even spelled out for our listeners today. It really does show that it all happened for you. All your struggles and challenges and everything, it was happening for you. Maybe you didn't know it in the moment, but it's led you to be good at what you do today, right? You understand counterfeit emotions, counterfeit stories, and things like that on a level that maybe a lot of people don't because of what you went through. Is that fair?
That's not just fair. That's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
It was crazy because as I was going through my divorce, I went to lunch with a friend. He was actually from Farron.
Wow. There's another one from Farron?
I know.
That's amazing.
There's maybe a whole handful of us. But
yeah.
It was funny because I'm a few years older and I used to babysit him and his twin brother. And now he's my financial advisor and all that stuff. And we went to lunch and I was doing the misery thing. I was blaming and I was shaming and I was like, can you believe? And I was talking so horribly about my divorce and all the horrible things that were happening to me. And he looks at me in the eyes and he goes, Curtis, you realize life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, hold on. You must not have heard what I just said. Let me restate all the horrible things that are happening in my life and then say that again. And he goes, no, Curtis, no.
Yeah.
The good and the hard are happening for you. All things are for your good. All things. Not just the happy things. All things are for your good.
Yeah.
And I realized that day I could either be a victim and say life is happening to me, or I could be a victor and say life is happening for me. And then later on, I actually realized there was even a third step, that I could go from victim to victor and finally to vessel. That life can happen through me. It's not just happening for me. Life can happen through me.
Ooh, love that.
I can be the vessel where these experiences, they are hard. They hurt. Like, the stories I could tell are fantastic. Like, if I didn't live them, I wouldn't believe them. And at the same time, every single one of them brought me to today.
Yep.
Every single piece of pain added up to build this bridge to today.
Wow. I love that. I often say, this true story, I took my first sip of alcohol at 11 years old. And I'm grateful for that sip because it led to me talking to Curtis today. And I went through hell to get there, but I'm grateful for it. You're an amazing man, and I love the way you carry yourself, and I've been really touched with your story today. One last question, if I could. If there's someone listening to your voice right now, Curtis, tuning in, and they're struggling, they're in a dark place, what would you tell that one person right now?
That we need you. That we need you. Yeah. I was mad at Jerry for leaving me.
Yeah.
Because I love him.
For sure.
And I needed him. And if you're listening right now, we need you. We need you. Go and take the Promise to Live at promisetolive.com. Go and make that promise, because you may not feel it right now. You may not feel it. But the truth is that you're needed and you have a purpose here. And spend the time to find that purpose, because every single one of us has that purpose.
Wow. Powerful words.
Or sorry, it's promisetolive.org.
.org. Okay.
Promisetolive.org. Yeah.
Well, no, very profound words. And I know there are people that tune in that struggle. That's why I have you. I ask that question of all my guests, and it's my favorite question to ask because the answers are so profound, and I needed to hear that today, and I know there's many that needed to hear that today. Thank you for being on my show.
Thanks,
Thank you
Todd.
for the way you carry yourself and being a light in this world, because we need more of that. And I'm grateful that we've crossed paths now and that I know you. I feel like, again, I'm the lucky one because I'm sitting here with you face to face, and I
feel the same.
And you probably know this, when we're vulnerable with someone, we feel closer to that person. So I feel really close to you. So thank you. And, I feel like I've got a new friend in my life. So thanks.
I'm so glad, because I feel the same way.
Good. Good. If people want to reach out to you, Curtis, and they want to, maybe ask you a question, or if they want to do your program, or, buy your books, whatever, what would be the best way for them to connect with you that way?
Yeah, the counterfeitemotions.com. You can, there's a weekly blog post that goes into a lot of the emotions that most people don't realize. There's the courses and the challenges that we do. As well, there's a Facebook group. We have a really active Facebook group that is just wonderful and supporting. Lots of incredible support there. It's just do a search for Counterfeit Emotions.
Okay.
And then actually at the beginning of the year, I'm doing a masterclass specifically around addiction recovery, and how to break free from the shame cycle. We're looking at love versus lust. We're looking at sobriety versus recovery. We're looking at all of those things. We're looking at guilt and shame, understanding pain and misery. And we're actually going to do anger versus advocacy. That
I love it.
Advocacy is the authentic emotion. Anger is the destructive one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anger is the defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll put all those links in the show notes so people can get right to you, and we'll promote you on this. And, I recommend everyone to touch base with you and follow what you do, because, again, it's great stuff. It's great information, obviously, but it will not only help you. I know you're really good at the entrepreneurial part, but you're also very good at connecting on, like you said, the authentic part and making people feel like they're needed and wanted. So
that's what makes life great.
Right?
It is.
Absolutely. Well, again, it's a blessing to have you here today. Thanks for taking some time. I'm glad we've connected, and I'm just grateful for all that you do.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay. There you go, folks. I told you today was going to be a wonderful time for you. Curtis Morley, please reach out to him. If you have a loved one who's struggling and you're not sure how to connect with them, send them a link to this episode and it'll break the ice. You can follow back up with them with some questions like, what do you think of Curtis's story? It'll help open up a dialogue that sometimes, we're not sure how to connect with someone who's struggling, but this would be a good way to do that, as you always do, because I get your responses and I can't thank you enough. And thanks again to my sponsors for believing in me. It means the world. I love you guys. And until next time, we'll see you later. Thanks, Curtis.